Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Lalema Aneja Dang, and with me is Manoj Singh Rana with the evening news. The headlines. All 32 accused in Babri Masjid demolition case acquitted. Special CBI court says not enough evidences to prove the allegations. Home Ministry issues new guidelines to open more activities in areas outside containment zones. India and China decide to implement 5-point agreement to ensure disengagement at all friction points along the LAC. India successfully test fires BrahMos supersonic cruise missile with several indigenous features. Uttar Pradesh government constitutes a 3-member SIT to probe Hathras rape case. Income tax return filing date extended by 2 months. And in IPL cricket at Dubai, Rajasthan Royals win the toss and decide to bowl first. In our special series on the occasion of 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, we begin this bulletin with Bapu Ki Baat. In a post-prayer speech, Mahatma Gandhi spoke about untouchability.
मैं समझता हूँ हमारे धर्म पर एक बड़ा कलंक लग गया है अस्पृश्यता रूप। तो अस्पृश्यता को मिटाने के लिए हम खुद अस्पृश्य बन जाएं। अगर हम अस्पृश्य बने झाड़ू निकालने का काम करें वो कोई खराब काम थोड़ा है, वो तो बहुत अच्छा काम है। स्वच्छता रखना वो तो धर्म है, तो वो तो धार्मिक काम हो जाता है। अस्पृश्यता का जो कलंक है उसका नाश हम कर देते।
And now the news in detail. The special CBI court in Lucknow today acquitted all 32 accused in the Babri demolition case. Special CBI Judge Surendra Kumar Yadav said the demolition happened at the spur of the moment and it was not a pre-planned incident. He said that there were not enough evidences to prove the allegations made by CBI in this case. While delivering his verdict, the special judge said that the demolition was done by some anti-social elements and there was no alliance between such persons and the accused. Most of the senior leaders among the 32 accused, such as L.K. Advani, Kalyan Singh and Murli Manohar Joshi, were not present in the Lucknow court due to various reasons. Senior BJP leader L.K. Advani welcomed the verdict.
कोर्ट का आज का जो निर्णय हुआ है वो अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण है और हम सब के लिए बहुत खुशी का प्रसंग है। जब ये समाचार सुना जय श्री राम कह करके हमने इसका स्वागत किया।
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has also welcomed the verdict of CBI Special Court in Lucknow acquitting all accused in the Babri Masjid demolition case. In a tweet, Mr. Singh said the decision has proved that justice can never be denied. Here's more from our correspondent.
28 years after the 16th century Babri structure was razed by a mob in Ayodhya on 6 December 1992, the decision by the special court today finally came as a relief for many stalwarts of BJP, Vishwa Hindu Parishad and Bajrang Dal. The 32 accused who were acquitted today face charges against several sections of the IPC, including criminal conspiracy, rioting, promoting enmity between different groups, and unlawful assembly. During the trial, the Central Bureau of Investigation (CBI) produced 351 witnesses and 600 documents as evidence before the CBI court. The court had initially framed charges against 49 accused and 17 accused died during the course of time. The judge Surendra Kumar Yadav was also given extension after retirement for the decision of this case, and from last 2 years the daily hearing was going on for the early delivery of the verdict. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
India and China have agreed to sincerely implement the agreement between the foreign ministers of the two countries in order to ensure disengagement at all the friction points along the line of actual control, or LAC. The 19th meeting of the Working Mechanism for Consultation and Coordination in India-China Border Affairs, or WMCC, which was held today in virtual mode, was attended by a delegation from both the sides, reviewed the current situation along the LAC in the India-China border areas. During the meeting, both India and China positively evaluated the outcome of the 6th Senior Commanders meeting held on the 21st of this month and emphasized the need to implement the steps outlined so as to avoid misunderstandings and to maintain stability on the ground. In the same context, the need to strengthen communication, especially between the ground commanders, were also emphasized by both the sides. Both the sides agreed to continue to maintain close consultations at the diplomatic and military level. It was also agreed that the next round of the meeting of senior commanders will be held at an early date so that both sides can work towards early and complete disengagement of the troops along the LAC in accordance with the existing bilateral agreement and protocols and fully restore peace and tranquility. Our Beijing correspondent reports that the meeting is significant in the wake of 5-point consensus reached in Moscow by the two foreign ministers. The two sides had agreed to resolve outstanding issues on ground and to ease the situation along the border. This was the first WMCC meet since the foreign ministers of the two countries met in Moscow on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization earlier this month, in which both sides agreed for disengagement to ease the tension. In Bihar, the full Election Commission team, led by Chief Election Commissioner Sunil Arora, met the representatives of different political parties today. The EC team also held a review meeting in Patna with district magistrates and superintendents of police of 26 districts, which include Saran, Siwan, Gopalganj and Muzaffarpur. Janata Dal United demanded that the Election Commission should take responsibility for distribution of voter slips among the electorates. The party expressed concern over the presence of limited number of people in the election meeting. The Congress sought deployment of medical teams per 10 booths. On the other hand, the LGP requested the Commission that polling booths in the assembly election should be on the lines of Panchayat elections. Our correspondent reports that tomorrow the EC team will go to Gaya, where a review meeting with DMs and SPs of 12 districts, including Aurangabad, Kaimur and Rohtash, will be held. Before returning to Delhi, the Chief Election Commissioner will hold a review meeting with Chief Secretary, Home Secretary and Director General of Police.
Former Maharashtra Chief Minister and BJP leader Devendra Fadnavis has been appointed as the party's Bihar Assembly elections in charge. The decision of his appointment was taken today by the National President of Bharatiya Janata Party, Jagat Prakash Nadda. Election Commission had on last Friday announced a 3-phase elections to the Bihar Legislative Assembly with poll dates on the 28th of October, the 3rd of November and the 7th of November. Well, India today successfully test-fired BrahMos supersonic cruise missile with several indigenous features. The test firing of the missile was carried out by the Defence Research and Development Organisation, DRDO, from Baleshwar in Odisha. BrahMos surface-to-surface supersonic cruise missile features indigenous booster and airframe section along with many other made-in-India subsystems. The Defence Ministry said the BrahMos land attack cruise missile was cruising at a top speed of Mach 2.8. It is one more major step in enhancing the indigenous content. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has congratulated all the personnel of DRDO and Team BrahMos for the spectacular mission. Home Ministry has issued new guidelines today for the opening up of more activities in areas outside the containment zones. In these guidelines, which will come into effect from tomorrow, the process of reopening of activities has been extended further. Cinemas, theatres and multiplexes will be permitted to open with up to 50% of their seating capacity from the 15th of October in areas outside the containment zones. The Home Ministry said Information and Broadcasting Ministry will issue the Standard Operating Procedure SOP. Swimming pools being used for training of sportspersons will be permitted to open, for which the SOP will be issued by the Sports Ministry. The Ministry said for reopening of schools and coaching institutions, state and union territories, governments have been given the flexibility to take a decision after 15th October in a graded manner. The decision will be taken in consultation with the respective school and institution management based on their assessment of the situation and subject to the following conditions. Students may attend schools and institutions only with the written consent of parents. Online and distance learning shall continue to be preferred mode of teaching and shall be encouraged. Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Education may take a decision on the timing of the opening of colleges and higher education institutions in consultation with the Ministry of Home Affairs based on the assessment of the situation. The Home Ministry said social, academic, sports, entertainment, cultural, religious, political functions and other congregations have already been permitted with a ceiling of 100 persons outside containment zones only. The ministry said lockdown will continue to be implemented strictly in the containment zones till the 31st of October.
India continues to report a trend of steadily declining active cases. Presently, the active cases account for only 15.11% of the total active positive cases of the country, standing at 9,40,441. From 33.32% on the 1st of August to 15.11% on the 30th of September, the active cases have less than halved in 2 months, with 80,472 infections being reported in the last 24 hours. The total number of positive cases touched 62 lakh mark today. The continuous upward trajectory of India's recovery rate has touched 83.33% today. In all, 86,428 patients recovered and were discharged during the last 24 hours. The total recovered cases stand at 51,87,825. The gap between recovered cases and active cases has now widened to 42 lakh. With increasing number of recoveries, this gap is continuously widening day by day. The death toll climbed to 97,497, with 1,179 people succumbing to the disease in a day. The case fatality rate stands at 1.57%. The recovery rate of COVID patients in Delhi stands at 88.46%. The city recorded recovery of 3,965 patients in the last 24 hours, taking the total number of recovered patients till date to 2,47,446. With increased testing, the city has achieved the remarkable mark of conducting 1,62,103 corona tests per million of its population. A total of 3,390 new confirmed cases of coronavirus were reported in the national capital during the last 24 hours. With this, the total number of COVID cases in the city has reached to 2,79,715. The Delhi government confirmed that 41 deaths have been reported in the last 24 hours, taking the total to 5,361. The total number of active corona cases in the city now stands at 26,908.
To contain the spread of the coronavirus by increasing public awareness, Information and Broadcast Ministry's Regional Outreach Bureau has started awareness campaign with the help of its artists in Maharashtra. The campaign has identified 7 districts as focus areas. Here's a report.
Folk songs and music have always proved effective in awareness of government schemes and health campaigns in the past, and Information and Broadcast Ministry's Regional Outreach Bureau has played a crucial role in it. This time the Bureau is creating awareness to contain the spread of coronavirus. With the help of 2 special vans, the awareness messages are being announced in the streets and posters are displayed at prominent places. At the same time, the folk artists are spreading the awareness messages about the safety norms, testing and timely treatment for COVID prevention through their songs and street shows. The officials of the Bureau has appealed the people to cooperate the administration in the spread of the pandemic. Shailesh Patil, AIR News, Mumbai.
The Gujarat government has announced 25% cut in school fees for the current academic year. This decision was taken at a cabinet meeting in Gandhinagar today. AIR Ahmedabad correspondent reports that this decision is termed as a big relief for the parents in view of the coronavirus pandemic.
State Education Minister Bhupendra Singh Chudasama said that the decision was taken after the directions from Gujarat High Court and consultations with representatives of school managements and parents association. He said that 25% cut in tuition fees will be effective to all school boards including CBSE. There will be a 100% fee waiver on all other activities including transportation, sports, library and computer. Those who have already paid full payments of fees will be offered adjustments by schools. Schools have been asked not to relieve any teacher from the job due to this relief. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
The Supreme Court today refused to postpone the Civil Services Preliminary Examination to be conducted by the Union Public Service Commission on the 4th of October because of COVID-19 pandemic and floods in several parts of the country. A bench of Justices A.M. Khanwilkar, B.R. Gavai and Krishna Murari asked the centre to consider granting one more chance to those aspirants who may not appear in their last attempt for the exam due to the pandemic. The Apex Court also refused to consider the plea for clubbing of UPSC Civil Services exam of 2020 with 2021 exams, saying this will have a cascading effect. The bench was hearing a plea seeking postponement of the Civil Services exam for 2 to 3 months so that the incessant rains recede and the COVID-19 curve flattens.
Head of Rheumatology Department of AIIMS, Dr. Uma Kumar, has said that people who are infected from COVID can also spread infection to others. Talking to AIR News, Dr. Uma Kumar said there have been some reports of reinfection from coronavirus in people in certain states, but it is very rare. She advised the people to follow social distancing, hand hygiene and cough etiquettes to check the spread of the virus.
In fact, the antibodies which develop following first infections can help virus in its spread, and the infection can be really serious, and we call it antibody-dependent enhancement. So one has to be very, very careful, and those who have developed infection and recovered from it should also be taking all precautions because reinfection remains a possibility. So please follow 3 important precautions. 1, hand hygiene, washing your hands with soap and water or with sanitizer. 2nd, respiratory hygiene, that is always use mask when you are in the public. 3rd, always maintain 2 meters distance.
You're listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. All 32 accused in Babri Masjid demolition case acquitted. Special CBI court says not enough evidences to prove the allegations. Home Ministry issues new guidelines to open more activities in areas outside containment zones. India and China decide to implement 5-point agreement to ensure disengagement at all friction points along the LAC. India successfully test fires BrahMos supersonic cruise missile with several indigenous features. Uttar Pradesh government constitutes 3-member SIT to probe Hathras rape case. Income tax return filing date extended by 2 months. And in IPL cricket at Dubai, Rajasthan Royals win the toss and decide to bowl first. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
All India Radio presents World News. News and views from across the globe. What happened? What is up next? The newsmakers and the highlights of the day. Every day at 10:20 p.m. in the night. On 100.1 FM, All India Radio.
The Uttar Pradesh government has set up a 3-member SIT to investigate the Hathras rape incident. The SIT will be headed by State Home Secretary Bhagwan Swaroop and will have DIG Chandra Prakash and PAC Sena Naik, Mrs. Poonam as members. The team has to submit a report within 7 days. All the 4 accused in this matter have been arrested by the police and the trial of the case will take place in fast-track court. Meanwhile, State Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath spoke to the father of the deceased girl this evening. Her father asked for harshest penalty against the accused. He assured him that most stringent action shall be taken against the accused and all possible help shall be provided to the family of the deceased. The state government also announced government job for 1 member of the family of the deceased girl along with a house in Hathras city. A total of 25 lakh rupees will be given to the family of the victim as ex gratia. Earlier, Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to the Chief Minister and asked him to take strictest action against the culprits in this case. Meanwhile, UP police rebutted the allegations that the last rites of the deceased girl were performed without the consent of the family. The victim was allegedly gang-raped in a village under Chandpa police station in Hathras district on September 14. She was initially rushed to a hospital in Aligarh but was shifted to Delhi's Safdarjung hospital after her condition deteriorated. She kept fighting for her life for 15 days but finally succumbed to her injuries on Tuesday.
Government has further extended the last date for filing ITR for assessment year 2019-20 till the 30th of November this year. Earlier, the last date for filing the belated and revised ITRs for financial year ending on the 31st of March 2019 was the 30th of September. The Income Tax Department in a statement said that the decision was taken after further consideration of genuine difficulties being faced by the taxpayers due to the COVID-19 situation. The Income Tax Department has issued refunds of over 1,18,324 crore rupees to more than 33,54,000 taxpayers in a span of 6 months starting from the 1st of April this year. The Finance Ministry informed that out of the total refunds, 86,094 crore rupees have been refunded in nearly 1,78,000 corporate tax cases, while the remaining 32,230 crore rupees have been issued in over 31,75,000 other cases.
The government has started procurement of Kharif crops at minimum support price (MSP) in full swing. So far, approval has been accorded for procurement of over 14 lakh metric tons of pulses and oilseeds from Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Telangana and Haryana. Additionally, procurement of paddy for Kharif marketing season 2020-21 has started in Haryana and Punjab since Saturday. Paddy procurement of over 3,506 metric tons in Haryana and nearly 41,300 metric tons in Punjab, having MSP value of 84 crore 60 lakh rupees, has been done from the farmers. Minister of State in the PMO, Dr. Jitendra Singh, today said that during the last 6 years of Modi government, a number of historic steps were taken for the welfare of farmers and there was a steady hike in MSP for helping in doubling their income. Interacting with sarpanchs, farmers' organizations and local activists of the peripheral hill districts of Doda, Riasi, Ramban and Kishtwar on the new farm laws, Dr. Singh reiterated that the minimum support price and APMC will continue. He said it will never be removed at any cost.
The Union government has repeatedly assured farmers that the minimum support price and agricultural produce and livestock market committees will continue and will not be removed at any cost. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said yesterday, after inaugurating 6 mega projects in Uttarakhand, that those opposing farm reform bills do not want farmers to have the freedom of selling their produce in the open market. One of the objections raised is against a provision in the Farmers' Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act 2020, which provides for the creation of a trade area outside APMC mandis. The farmers fear that the MSP mechanism would be done away with if the mandi system comes to an end. However, the centre has assured farmers that the MSP is an administrative decision which is presently there and will remain in the future as well. A report.
The new act aims at creating additional trading opportunities outside the APMC market yards to help farmers get remunerative prices due to additional competition. This will supplement the existing MSP procurement system, which is providing stable income to farmers. An ecosystem will be created where the farmers and traders will enjoy freedom of choice of sale and purchase of agri-produce. It will open more choices for the farmers, reduce marketing costs for them, and help in getting better prices. Suparna Saikia, AIR News, Delhi.
Talking to AIR, farmers from Punjab have welcomed the enactment of farm legislations.
ਵੱਡਾ ਭਲੇਖਾ ਸੀ ਮੰਡੀ ਦਾ ਜੀ ਵੀ ਮੰਡੀ ਉਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਰਕਾਰੀ ਮੰਡੀ ਉਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੀ ਚਾਲੂ ਰਹੂਗੀ। ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟ ਮੰਡੀ 'ਚ ਆਪਦੀ ਫਸਲ ਵੇਚਣੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟ 'ਚ ਵੇਚ ਸਕਦਾ, ਜਿਹਨੇ ਸਰਕਾਰੀ 'ਚ ਵੇਚਣੀ ਹੈ ਸਰਕਾਰੀ 'ਚ। ਵੀ ਮੰਡੀ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੀ ਰਹੂਗੀ ਜੀ ਤੇ MSP ਵੀ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੀ ਹੋਊਗੀ ਤੇ ਸਰਕਾਰੀ ਖਰੀਦ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੀ ਹੋਊਗੀ। ਜਿਹੜੀ FCI ਹੈ ਜੀ ਇਹ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੀ ਸਾਡਾ ਕਣਕ ਤੇ ਝੋਨਾ ਚੱਕਦੀ ਰਹੂ ਜੀ। ਇਹਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਗਲਤ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਜੀ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਿਛਲੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਦਾ ਦੇਖ ਲਓ, ਇਹਦਾ ਦੇਖ ਲਓ ਜੀ। ਜਿੰਨਾ MSP ਮੋਦੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਧਿਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕਿਤੇ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਵਧਿਆ।
MSP ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਖਤਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ। ਸਰਕਾਰੀ ਖਰੀਦ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਸੀ ਉਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਰਹਿਣੀ ਹੈ। ਇੱਕ ਪੈਰਲਲ ਪਲੇਟਫਾਰਮ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਮੰਡੀ ਵੀ ਉਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਰਹਿਣੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਸਰਕਾਰੀ ਖਰੀਦ ਵੀ ਉਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਰਹਿਣੀ ਹੈ। ਕਿਸੇ ਦੇ ਸਿਰ ਤੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਤਲਵਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ। ਜੇ ਉਹਦਾ ਦਿਲ ਕਰਦਾ ਮੰਡੀ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਵੇਚ ਸਕਦਾ, ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿਲ ਕਰਦਾ ਉਹ ਖੇਤਾਂ ਤੱਕ ਵਪਾਰੀ ਪਹੁੰਚਣਗੇ ਤੇ ਉਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਹੀ ਹੋਣਾ ਹੈ। ਜੋ 8-8.5% ਉਹਨੂੰ ਟੈਕਸ ਪੈ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਉਹਦਾ ਉਸਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਧਾ ਉਹਦੀ ਜੇਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਜਾਣਾ। ਕਿਸਾਨ ਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਹੀ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ।
Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal has described agriculture reforms as a watershed movement for the farmers. Addressing Federation of Telangana Chambers of Commerce and Industries program on New World Order, Atmanirbhar Bharat today, Mr. Goyal said this will change the course of history for agriculture in India.
Fisheries Minister Giridhar Singh has said the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana will result in doubling export earnings to 1 lakh crore rupees in the fisheries sector over a period of next 5 years. Releasing the second edition of the newsletter Matsya Sampada and a beneficiary booklet on Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, Mr. Singh said the scheme will also generate about 55 lakh direct and indirect employment opportunities. The minister said the scheme also aims to enhance fish production to 220 lakh ton by 2024-25.
The government has extended the deadline to submit initial bids for buying stake in Bharat Petroleum Corp Limited, BPCL, by 1.5 months to 16th November. In November last year, Cabinet had approved the sale of the government's 52.98% stake in BPCL. The Department of Investment and Public Asset Management said the deadline has been extended in view of further requests received from the interested bidders and the prevailing situation arising out of COVID-19 pandemic. Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha has directed the senior officials to own the ambitious Back to Village program starting from the 2nd of October and asserted that every single officer on the ground must work as a change maker to ensure benefits of governance reach the last man in the queue. Lieutenant Governor gave a clarion call to own B2 V3 for making it a huge success. Here's more from our Srinagar correspondent.
The third phase of the ambitious Back to Village program, starting from 2nd October in Jammu and Kashmir, is aimed to take the governance to the doorsteps of people. It is also seen as a unique effort of the government to strengthen the newly constituted panchayats. Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha in his recent review meeting has sought detailed report on action plan for the conduct of Back to Village Phase 3 program and inquired about progress made under Jan Abhiyan program. He asked all the stakeholders to put in dedicated efforts to complement the unique and sincere efforts of the government to reach the doorsteps of the people with responsive, accountable and equitable governance. Manoj Sinha also sought detail of activities to be conducted during the 3-day visit of over 4,000 officers visiting all panchayats of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Sunil Kaul for AR News from Srinagar.
In IPL cricket, Kolkata Knight Riders were 120 for 5 in 15 overs against Rajasthan Royals in Dubai when reports last came in. Earlier, Rajasthan Royals won the toss and elected to field. Last night, Sunrisers Hyderabad defeated Delhi Capitals by 15 runs in Abu Dhabi. Sports Minister Kiren Rijiju today launched the Sports Authority of India SAI new logo at Delhi's Major Dhyan Chand Stadium. The event was attended by Sports Secretary Ravi Mittal, Indian Olympic Association President Narinder Batra and Director General SAI Sandeep Pradhan at the stadium.
Now let us take a look at the weather update for tomorrow. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature in Jammu will be 20 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 34 degrees. The city will have mainly clear sky. In Srinagar, the minimum temperature will be around 7 degrees while the maximum will be 27 degrees. Leh in Ladakh will mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The minimum temperature will be 1 degree Celsius while the maximum is likely to be 21. Gilgit will have partly cloudy sky, becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night. Muzaffarabad will have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The minimum temperature will be 14 degrees Celsius and the maximum is likely to be 34 degrees Celsius. Dehradun will have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The minimum temperature will be 19 degrees Celsius and the maximum 32.
And now before we close, the headlines once again. All 32 accused in Babri Masjid demolition case acquitted. Special CBI court says not enough evidences to prove allegations. Home Ministry issues new guidelines to open more activities in areas outside containment zones. India and China decide to implement 5-point agreement to ensure disengagement at all friction points along the LAC. India successfully test-fires BrahMos supersonic cruise missile with several indigenous features. Uttar Pradesh government constitutes 3-member SIT to probe Hathras rape case. Income tax return filing date extended by 2 months. And in IPL cricket at Dubai, Rajasthan Royals win the toss and decide to bowl first. And with that, we end the news. Good night. We leave you with Bapu's favorite bhajan, Vaishnavajan To, sung by an artist from Mauritius. Good night.